Morning, everyone. This is Jason Capola, Veteran Service Officer. On behalf of the Connecticut Department of Veterans Affairs, I'd like to welcome you to the presentation from the Connecticut Department of Veteran Services, Connecticut Department of Labor. You'll have Tim Rockefeller and Sheldon Boyce will be presenting their PowerPoint slides, and I will be your moderator. What I'd like to do here is if we can hold the questions to the end of the session, I'll be monitoring the chat line. We feel that might be best so we can, move through the slides. And with that being said, all right, let's go ahead.
Cool. Hi, everybody. I'm Tim Rockefeller, Connecticut Department of Labor, Veteran Services. I was in the Marine Corps 02 to 06, Afghanistan, Iraq. So we're all part of the same dysfunctional veteran family here. So bear with us as we rock and roll virtual stand down. So the funding for it's called Jobs for Veterans. Every state has it, including Connecticut, and that is the what we're going to be talking about. So we have an overview here of what we'll be covering. So different types of veteran services at Department of Labor. Anybody in the entire agency, whether it's a veteran staff member or a regular staff member, can help veterans. So we can help out with job search, job referrals, individualized career services. So we could have people sit with you one-on-one. Well, we're doing virtual services now. So this PowerPoint's sort of covering virtual and non-virtual, and that's going to be changing as well. So we're kind of giving a big overview here, but we could refer you to supportive services. There's staff called DevOps. We'll get into them in a little bit. They can provide case management to certain veterans that qualify. Veterans get priority of service in all-American job centers. So whenever you go into an office, once they open back up, or if you're talking to somebody through email, phone, whatever, you want them to know that you're a veteran, regardless of what you're doing. Just give them a heads up. Hey, just by the way, I'm a veteran. I know there's something called priority of service. Just give them a little reminder, because they might not ask you, and they might not know. So the more of an advocate you could be for yourself, the better off it'll be for you. So long story short, without getting into too much of boring legal information, things did change. So some of you might have been coming in and seeing veteran staff members pre-2014, and it was a little, easier with that. You would just say you're a veteran, and they would send you to a DVOP, they were called. In 2014, the Jobs for Veterans State Grant, the U.S. Department of Labor Employment Training Services, they changed the grant, and they made it where certain veterans see DVOPs and certain veterans have to see other staff members. So I'm not trying to bore you with the legal stuff, but it's important because you might be expecting one service and get a different service. So and you want to know how to communicate what type of veteran category you fall into to make sure that, so if you do qualify to see a DVOP, you can. So the better you communicate with the staff members, the better the chances that you can get to the right person. So I really want to encourage that and cover this here, because this wasn't always the case. And I know a lot of people that participate in Veteran Stand Down, utilize these services before 2014. So I want to kind of reiterate this, as some vets don't know. So there's something called significant barriers to employment, and those veterans that have one of these who self-disclose that they have a significant barrier to employment, they could see a DVOP, and these can change. You might not have one today, and you might have one tomorrow. So barriers to employment, where if you believe you have one of these and you self-attest that you do, you should be referred to a DVOP. We'll get into a little bit more what DVOPs do in a little bit. But so that's if you have a service-connected disability through the VA, if you're homeless, if you were separated within the last 36 months and have been unemployed for at least 27 consecutive weeks, if you're formerly incarcerated, if you don't have a high school diploma, or if you're low income. And we have a form that kind of shows what the definition of that is. There's also other categories of veterans that don't necessarily have a significant barrier to employment, but they help veterans CTDOL. And some of these have Vietnam era veterans.
Hey, Tim.
Yep.
Tim, it's Jason. I was getting a lot of background noise. Anybody hear that?
Yeah, that's not for me though.
Okay. All right. Just make sure people are muting your mics. So keep any background noise out of this. Okay, thanks. Sorry, Tim. Go ahead.
All good. Yeah, so these categories are also categories of veterans that qualify to see a DBOP. So, and these things can change. So, for example, if you served during the Vietnam era or you're a Vietnam veteran, you qualify to see a DBOP. And the Secretary of Labor just added these categories, a couple of years ago. This wasn't always the case. So, if you're 18 to 24 and you're just getting out, you qualify. Reduction in force and voluntarily separated. Some people get kind of pushed out through reduction of force. So there's these other categories that are rare, but they exist. So I just want everyone to know this because I want to make sure that if you qualify to see a DBOP, you communicate the right thing to the right people and then get to see a DBOP. So what's a DBOP? DBOP stands for Disabled Veterans Outreach Program Specialist. What they do is basically their job. They're all veterans, and they all have to have a service-connected disability to the VA themselves. You're working with your own here. What they do is basically they sit with you one-on-one or virtually, whatever, depending on how we're doing this. And their goal is really to work with you with whatever you need to help you be as quote unquote job ready as possible. And what job ready basically means is, you could be the best widget maker in the world. Maybe you've been making widgets for years. You went to school for it. You could fix every widget. You can make it. You're the best at it. But maybe you don't know how to write a resume effectively in the year 2020. Or maybe your interviewing skills aren't up to speed. Or, maybe you're switching careers. Everybody's in a different spot in their life. The DevOps job is to either in person, virtually, whatever, sit with you, meet you where you're at, and help you to make sure that you're applying for jobs the best way possible and to be your advocate in that process. So that's everything from emailing you job openings to helping you with your resume to going over labor market information. Basically, the DevOps are your go-to veteran advocate for employment and training. But not every veteran can see a DevOps, so you have to kind of advocate that you have one of those other conditions if you do, with significant barriers to employment or the other category to get to a DevOps. Otherwise, you might have to see a regular non-DevOps staff member. So in the Jobs for Veterans State Grant, you have the DevOps, so they work directly with the veterans that qualify, helping them with everything job related. And then you have the LVR. This is a different side of the house. That stands for Local Veterans Employment Representative. So if the DevOps is the job seeking veterans go-to guy, this is the or go-to person, I should say. This is the same thing except with employers. So the LVR isn't really directly meeting with veterans, but they could do presentations like this. So Sheldon, who will speak in a little bit, he's an LVR, and I'm an LVR as well, Tim Rockefeller. We work with the employers. So the goal is you've got the DevOps helping certain veterans, to be as job ready as possible. And then you have the LVR that's reaching out to employers and saying, hey, we meet with vets, we work with them, they're looking for work. You're a company, if you have openings, contact us, let us know, and we can make the connection. So the LVRs can develop and maintain the relationships with the employers. Some of these relationships might go back years, and if we send that resume over and the resume makes sense and it shows that the veteran is a good fit for that employer, that employer might call that veteran right away. Or maybe it's a new connection where we don't quite have that type of relationship, but maybe the veteran has to apply online first, but we send the resume, they look them up. It's different with every employer. And the LVR can refer any veteran to any job at any time, as long as, regardless of the whole SB categories and all that legal information I went over earlier, the LVR could refer any veteran to any job, but certain conditions have to be met. The veteran has to be qualified for that position. They have to have a resume that reflects that. Of course, we can help you get there if you're not there. So that's what the LVRs do. So we work out of American Job Centers, or AJCs. Right now, they're currently closed to the public. They're going to be opening back up soon, but I don't want to give a date, and I'm not sure what that's going to look like yet. So right now, everything is virtual services, but that will change. We'll have some sort of hybrid type system coming out. As that happens, we'll pass the word. So there's other programs here at the American Job Centers. There's the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, otherwise known as WIOA. That's for certain individuals, not just veterans, but certain individuals can get retraining paid for, and there's other parts to that as well. There's different tax incentives for employers to hire veterans. There's different career-related workshops. So maybe you have a resume, but you want to learn more about it. Go to the workshop. Maybe your interviewing skills are okay, but you can get better. go to the workshop. They have different career workshops you can go to. And I recommend every job seeking veteran goes to every single one offered, because I look at it like you're either going to learn something that you didn't know, or you're going to walk out of there saying, you know what, I'm doing the right things. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it up. So we definitely recommend those. Different supportive services, you know, in the AJC, whether you're working with a DVOP or a non-DVOP staff member. I mean, if you need help with anything, we'll know where to send you. The DVOPs are veteran, you know, advocates as well, so we can send you to the different, you know, VA programs and things like that. CT Hires, this is our website that sort of is trying to do everything. It's not always the easiest to use, but if you're a veteran, you definitely want an account, and you definitely want the account to show your veteran status. If you're running into problems with that, reach out to a DOL employee, whether it's me, Sheldon, or somebody else, and we want to make sure that you get in there the right way, because the questions can be difficult, and sometimes veterans don't come in as veterans because they don't answer the questions the right way. But CT Hires is one website that you can use, or you can post your resume. You can apply to jobs on there. There's a lot of tools in that toolbox to use, and it's not always the most user friendly. So if you can have somebody walk you through it, do it. Don't just, if you try and you have trouble, don't just quit. Talk with someone, have them walk you through it. I'm more than happy to do my best to walk anybody through this to have your best chance of getting, because employers check too. So if you didn't post your resume on there and they're checking resumes, they're not going to see yours. There's certain tools in the toolbox. We want to make sure all veterans are advocating for themselves the best way to get on there. Now Sheldon's going to take over and talk about the virtual recruiter. And all right, Sheldon.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for participating. This is an exciting time for me because this is my first stand down as a DOL veteran employee, and my first stand down period. And especially in the world of COVID right now, it's imperative that we get this information out to you guys. So thanks for showing up. I know it's early. I hope you guys had your coffee. Just a little bit about me. I'm a veteran, Navy veteran myself, 4 years. Was stationed in Pearl Harbor as a gas turbine electrician, and have held several roles within the veteran community. I worked in the VA as a social work associate for a couple of years, and now I've come over to employment services. So just a little blurb about me, and thanks for showing up, and thanks for your time. As Tim was talking about the virtual recruiter, it's a pretty nice tool to have with CT Hires. We have a desk aid that we usually shoot out to our employers, and also to the veterans themselves who are just looking for extra tips to kind of help them navigate the system. As Tim said before, CT Hires it isn't the greatest system, but it does have some cool features that you can use. And as the vets, we always say, we're trying to work smarter, not harder. So you can use a virtual recruiter pretty much to tailor your searches. So jobs that are in your career field, specific career field that you're targeting, you can use the virtual recruiter and set it up in a way that it will meet your specific requirements. So anything that you want in there in terms of salary, if you're looking for a certain salary requirement, commuting distance, anything like that, you can tailor the virtual recruiter, and you put in these parameters, and then every day you'll get something emailed to you from whatever jobs that are open at that time that meet those specific criteria that you input for the recruiter. So really good, useful tool. It's just another thing to help our veterans and with the job search, and just make our jobs a little bit easier. We could also show you how to perform a job search, like we said, with specific parameters, and then save it so that whenever you go back into CT Hires, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to do it all over again. It's saved. You have these parameters saved, so that it's just kind of a set it and forget it thing. So every day you have these parameters set, unless something changes and you've moved, or instead of now you want the $100,000 job instead of a $40,000 job, or whatever it is, you can always go back and change it. Another pretty, not useful, but imperative thing that you want to do is always have your resume in CT Hires. It just makes it easier. Employers use it to search resumes, and keywords. If you know anything about employment services and how the employers kind of operate when it comes to hiring, and just getting through that first barrier. Keywords are important, so it's very important to have your resume squared away, and the DevOps will help you do that. But keywords are important, so we could also do our own comprehensive search. So whenever we're kind of connecting with employers and kind of feeling out, what are the employers looking for? What are they looking for in terms of employees, job skills, certificates, what have you. We can do a comprehensive search for resumes that are built in CT Hires on our own, and that way we can also make referrals. So it's important. It's a collaborative effort with the leavers and the DevOps to have a squared away resume in CT Hires, because it's just another avenue that we can use. Not to say that we won't work with you if you don't have a resume in CT Hires, but it just makes life a little bit easier. It helps spread your tentacles a little bit more, because employers do use CT Hires to search for resumes. So if you have a nice squared away resume with your important keywords tailored to the job that you're looking for, it just makes the job a little bit more easier when you're looking for these employers and you're looking for work. But we can help you do that. We're kind of rolling out, as in the COVID time right now. Usually we'd be in office and we would meet and face to face, and we would get these things done for you. Of course, the AJCs are closed right now, as Tim said earlier, with COVID. But right now we're working on rolling out some things here in the pretty near future where we'll be able to help you guys do these things virtually. So keep an eye out for that. Next slide. Another thing we do is case conferences. So before, like I was saying, pre-COVID, we would usually meet in the office. We'd have a case conference where we would sit directly with you. We would talk about some of the employers that we've connected with, kind of talk with you and see, what you are as an employee, as a, willing employee. What are you looking for in terms of work? What are the employers that you're looking for in terms of being hired? So we would sit down and we'd have a case conference. Now, the important things about the case conference is a couple of things that you need to have squared away. First, before we have a successful case conference, is that you have an up-to-date and targeted resume for the career fields that you're looking for. So, and that's where the DevOps come in. They make sure that your resume is squared away. You've targeted a career field or a specific job that we think is a good match for you based on your skill set and what your resume pretty much entails. And then, there's other services that we have too, like resume writing. Some of the DevOps help out and refer you for interviewing techniques. That's other things that we want to make sure that are squared away, so that when you do have the opportunity and we do lock down an interview for you, that you're ready to go and you have all the necessary tools to be successful. But that's something that us as leaders that we can do. We can have that case conference and just kind of brainstorm. And even if you don't have something, in mind it could be a brainstorming session too. We want to make sure that your resume is up to date, but it's an informational session for the veteran as well, because we can, as our job as leavers are to connect with the employers. So we know who's hiring, we know what they're hiring for, and what they're looking for. So that case conference is a very useful tool. I would definitely advise everyone to use that option if it's available, to really just kind of get with us so we can brainstorm and kind of map out, how we want to go about looking for jobs, and how we, who are we talking to, where are we applying, who's hiring. Right now with COVID, we have employers that are reaching out to us and saying that we're looking for bodies, we're looking for people right now, we just can't find them. So these case conferences can be a real important tool to use, just to kind of get out there to the public, to you guys, who's hiring right now. So that's a very important thing, is a case conference. So please take advantage of that. So for CT Hires, like Tim was saying, it's not a perfect system, but it is a good system. But in order for it to work properly for you, especially with the veterans, we got to make sure that you answer the critical veteran questions. So, are you currently in the military, a veteran, or the spouse of a veteran? All veterans should answer yes to this question. Just make sure, just put yes. You're in the military, veteran, or the spouse of a veteran. Just put yes. you answer no to any of that, or just make sure that the button's pressed on yes, because it'll just put no, it'll just pretty much route you out of the veteran's side, and things will get hectic from there. Question 2, have you served on active duty in the armed forces and were discharged or released from service under conditions other than dishonorable? And the answer for this, it should be yes for anyone who does not have a dishonorable discharge. So if you have OTH, any of those other discharges, as long as you don't have a dishonorable discharge, then you would answer yes to question 2 on the questionnaire. And that's a very important step. So please, other than as long as you don't have a dishonorable, it's yes to question 2.
And I want to piggyback off what Sheldon's saying here. A lot of veterans put no for that because it's a confusing legal question written by a lawyer or whatever. So it's like such service under conditions other than this. It screws people up, and a lot of veterans put no for that because they see dishonorable, they get confused, they put no. And if you put no for that, that means that as far as CT hires is concerned, you're not a veteran. And then what happens is it doesn't ask more questions, which we're about to get into. And those are the questions that if you answer them a certain way, the DVOP will get an email, an alert that there's an SBE veteran in the area to reach out to. But if you don't put yes for this question 2, other than the dishonorable question, those next questions won't populate, and it just reduces the chance of you getting your information to the right person. So we just really want you guys to understand this, all the veterans in here, and do that correctly.
Yeah. Thanks, Tim. If you go to the next slide.
Yeah, could you see it? I just went to the next slide. CTR's critical intake questions.
I don't see it on my end, but I do have it up here.
Okay, so, well, you got it, Sheldon? Could you see it?
Yep. Okay, now I see it. Perfect. Okay, so critical intake questions, we're continuing that. So things that you want to know beforehand, before you get into CT hires and you have this information available to you. You want to have your military service date, so from what time you entered to what time you were discharged or retired, or whatever your situation was. You want to be sure that you know your status in terms of your Vietnam era questions. So if you're a Vietnam era vet, you pretty much usually that you're a Vietnam vet and just know the time and the dates for that. Your discharge type, and that goes back to the question 2, which is important. There's various different discharges, but like I said, question 2, as long as you don't have a dishonorable, then the answer to that question is yes. But it's important to know what your discharge type is too, because it just tailors certain services to you. And you can find that if you don't know it, I'm pretty sure all the veterans know their discharge. But if you don't know that, you could always go to your DD-214, your member 4, and it'll say what your discharge type is. Know your disabled veteran status. If you're service connected, whatever your percentage is, 10%, whatever it is, just know, what your status is. Homeless veteran status. So, our vets who, are homeless or in the threat of being homeless, just, that's a pretty self-explanatory question. I don't think we have to, expand on that. That, your situation if you're, homeless or not. Incarcerated or formerly incarcerated status. And employment status. So we consider recently separated from employment service is being unemployed during the last 12 months or for 27 weeks or more. So that's important too, because that's just considered what we call SBE, significant barrier to employment. So this means that you're either chronically unemployed or employed. So in order to meet that criteria, what we deem as being unemployed is having unemployment during the last 12 months for 27 weeks or more. Oh. And then I can't see that bottom. If you can scroll up a little bit. Yeah, thanks. And then if you go to that next slide, Tim, I'll put up some of the resources because I can't see the last bullet there because my panel is blocking it. So I'll just move on to the next one. And here are some of our resources. Okay. And then, so here's some of our resources. Of course, cthires.com is probably pretty much the main, not the main one, but where you're gonna upload all your information in, your resume, hopefully, and that's gonna be the driver that connects you to us. The employers that we work with also have to have a CT Hires account, and that's another way that they're able to go in and search for resumes. So it just kind of keeps everything uniform. If you have a CT Hires account and the employers that we work with have a CT Hires account, then that just makes the process a little bit more seamless in terms of having the employers. If we're not in contact with them, then they can always go back to CT Hires and search for veterans. Another cool for our preferred employers, another cool thing is that they have what's called veteran holes. So if a preferred employer posts a job and you've inputted your information correctly into CT Hires as a veteran, then there's a 24-hour posting hold on that job where it just goes out to the veterans, specifically only veteran, as long as you correctly designated yourself in CT Hires. There's a 24-hour hold that preferred employers put on the job posting. So it kind of gives our veterans kind of a leg up, a little bit of a leg up, and anything matters in terms of, just getting the job listing out there. They say the early bird catches the worm. So if we're, diligent and kind of always searching the job sites, and, there's a job posting that posts from our preferred employers, then our veterans, we have pretty much first dibs in that 24 hours that the job is posted. So if you already have a resume that's already, ready to go, or is already in CT Hires, then once something is posted, you can kind of jump on that job and apply, and everything kind of there and set it and forget it for you, ready to go. And I believe that is it. I don't know if Tim, if you want to chime in.
No, it's good.
And then if anyone had questions, I'm going to type in my contact information into the chat. I'll type in my email and my phone number. Like we said, the leavers, we deal directly with the employers, but there's still services that we can provide to the veterans, specifically themselves. And if there's something that we can't do, then we can always refer you to refer you to the DVOP. So don't ever hesitate to give Tim or myself a call or email. And if it's something that we can't do directly for you, then we can always refer you to, connect you with the DVOPs.
So, Jason, did you want to monitor the questions now, or how would you like to do this?
Yeah, I was just looking on the chat line, Tim. I don't see any questions popping up yet.
John, it looks like John's trying to say something, but you might be on mute, John.
Where's John?
I see him up on the video there. It looks like he's trying to say something, but I think you got to unmute yourself there.
I see a John on my screen, but I don't see anything. John, can you hear us, John? And I don't have control. I'm trying to get control of him, but I can't.
Or you can type in the chat, yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like something's in the chat.
All right. Yep, I got something. Here.
Yeah, this is John. I actually have a question. I got awarded Social Security disability in May.
Hey, John, excuse me. This is Jason. Can you turn your camera off because it slows down the bandwidth?
Okay, sure. Hold on.
If you don't mind.
All right, yeah, no, okay, hold on.
That would be great. John, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Okay, I'm gonna shut the camera.
Yeah, your camera's still on.
Okay, I just shut it off.
Perfect.
Okay.
David, can you turn off your camera too?
Whose camera's on?
David McCaffrey, could you please turn off your camera?
I didn't see that one come up.
Yes.
David, they want you to shut off your camera. Anyway, can you hear me okay?
Yes, go ahead, John. Your
Okay.
question?
I was awarded Social Security disability in May, and I believe it or not, I was also eligible to collect unemployment in May, but I was told by my disability lawyer that I couldn't collect unemployment because I'm disabled. Is that true? I just wanted to double check with you guys there.
Good question. Unfortunately, I don't want to be a politician here, but I'm not going to answer it because, long story short, our the Jobs for Veterans State Grant Program, we're actually not allowed to do unemployment while we're on the grant. So we have very, very minimal unemployment knowledge, and I don't want to give the wrong information. However, I'm writing down what you're saying, John, and I'll email somebody. I'll email a manager or something. Is it Social Security disability or Social Security because?
Yeah, it's Social Security disability.
Okay, so if someone's on Social Security disability,
I'm actually at the Rocky Hill Veterans Home, so if you know Chuck or somebody, you could give him the answer.
okay. I'll ask a question. I'll reach out to Chuck after.
Okay, that'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
And I just put my contact information into the chat. That's my email and my direct phone number. If you guys need contact information.
Oh, yeah, perfect.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just threw my info on there too. We have any other questions?
I'm not seeing any on the board.
Hey, Jason.
Yes, who's this?
Jason, Joe DeNeo from the Rocky Hill main campus. You guys
Hi,
are
Joe.
doing a great job. Good morning.
Morning, Joe.
Morning. Hey, I just wanted to jump in with a very important message about attending any of the sites tomorrow for everybody. The Rocky Hill site is full, but we still have the others, Danbury, Bridgeport, Norwich, that you can look at and hopefully get to. But we got the COVID restrictions. I was just informed from our registration table, our virtual registration table, that Rocky Hill is full. Wanted to pass that out to your group here. You got a lot of good folks on. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Appreciate that. All right, so y'all heard that. Any other questions? Anybody else?
Yes, I had a question. I had been approved for the WIOA program, but
What's your name? What's your name, sir? Can you
my
just
name is Bob Coase.
Oh, good morning, Bob.
Good morning.
Okay, what's your question?
Well, I had gotten approved for the WIOA program, and I never was actually approved for any actual classes. I had underemployment, and then due to COVID and due to my medical conditions, my doctor advised me because of my lungs to not go to work because of COVID, and I was terminated from my employment. So now I'm on unemployment, and I wonder how this is all going to work with, right?
I missed the last part of that. The doctor advised you not to go to work.
Correct. And because
And what?
because of the doctors advising me not to go to work, my employer laid me off.
Are you on unemployment?
Yes, I am.
So is the question about trying to get back into WIOA, or what exactly is the question?
Well, yes, because I'm in WIOA, but my WIOA advisor just called me and said that I'm in the fourth quarter and I'm going to be dropping off. However, now that I'm not employed, I can go full time to any classes.
And does your WEO advisor know that?
Yes.
Okay. And are they setting you up so you could do that?
I haven't heard anything in that regard. It sounds like I'm just going to drop off and be out of the system shortly.
What's your phone number, Bob? Oh, actually, never mind. This is out in the public. You probably don't want to do that. Could you see my email address and my phone number?
Yes, I did. I could send you an email.
Yeah, why don't you? I've been taking notes of what you've been saying. Why don't you send me an email so we're not throwing more personal stuff out there, and then I'll try to figure out what's going on and help you the best I can.
Okay, thanks, Tim. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Excuse me, David, could you please turn off your video?
I don't. Oh. Wait.
Hey, Tim, this is John again. Can you hear me?
Yep.
I just want to say I've used Connecticut hires before in the past, and one thing that impressed me about it was that it had jobs postings that you wouldn't see on Indeed or Monster or Career Builder. So I was pretty impressed by that.
Yeah, we always recommend individuals use CT hires. Like we were saying before, it's not always the easiest tool in the toolbox to use, but it's still a tool in the toolbox, and it should be used. So and employers can post on there cost free. So
Yeah, they when you do get used to it, you can see job postings on it.
totally, and the idea that employers can post cost free means that, like you're saying, a lot of employers might be posting on CTRs, but they don't want to pay the fee to post on the paid the job boards. So you're getting sometimes different jobs. So it is a tool in the toolbox that should be utilized, especially if you know how to utilize it the right way, like Sheldon was talking about, using the virtual recruiter. It's works smarter, not harder. You do your one job search, you save it, and then you have any other jobs that come up on the system, they'll email it to your email address if you click that box using the virtual recruiter. So you can get updates if there's security guard jobs that pay between, I don't know, $13 and $16 an hour within 15 miles of Rocky Hill or whatever. You'll get an alert every time that opens up. So, we're not telling people not to use other systems. It's just, this is a tool in the toolbox that should definitely be utilized because of the point you just made. Any other questions or comments or anything? And if you guys can see, everybody who's watching, if you could see Sheldon's and my email addresses, you can email us specific questions that might be personal that you don't want everyone hearing right now, or call us. We're faster via email than phone, but we check our voicemails, we pick up our phone as well, but it's just faster.
Hey, how recent is this virtual recruiter? I was on Connecticut Hires about 2 years ago. They didn't have it then.
We had it then. It's just, this is one of the reasons why we try to explain these tools on here. It's because a lot of times they're there, but if nobody shows you or nobody brings it up, you just won't know. Because it's just not, you just don't always know all of the different applications they have there. So they had it then, but it's not always easy to find these things.
Oh, okay.
But the good thing is, if you know it exists, even if you can't find it on your own, you can reach out to us or any other Department of Labor employee and be like, hey, there's this virtual recruiter thing. I can't figure it out. I don't know. And then hopefully that person can walk you right through it.
Well, I'm glad you guys highlighted it today.
Yeah, thank you. Anything else? Hey, Jason Capola, you want to add anything, being a former DOL employee?
No, I'm a little rusty on that game, but one thing that I would say is that it's very important, like you guys talked about, to be job ready, making sure that the resumes are up to date, knowing their skill sets. So when they're working with, the DevOps or LVARs, you can slide them in, get them interviews or get them positions. I think that's one of the most important things is to be job ready.
Yeah, Jay, we couldn't agree more. One of the things that drives me crazy is when I'm in a situation and there's a veteran that's qualified and interested in that position. They live in the area, perfect fit, and then their resume comes to me and it's just not up to speed. And it's because that veteran is a good fit for that position, but they're not necessarily. They could be great at that position, but their resume is not really job ready, essentially. So then if we send it to the employer might be like, well, what's this? We're not calling this veteran, and we don't want that to happen. Your resume is your ultimate marketing document. It is your first impression. It is that should be every bit of attention to detail and perfection you have in your life should be measured on that resume. It should be where when it goes to the employer, they're like, oh, this person can advocate for themselves on the resume. They have good communication skills. They present it clearly. They're neat. They're orderly. They must work this way in their occupation. They must have attention to detail. They must be punctual. If things don't line up the right way, they're a little messy, misspelled words. Little quick one-liners and not describing the value you bring. It works against you. We want veterans to be advocates themselves, and we want to show how great they are, so more employers want to hire them. So, and we have staff and workshops that can help with this. So we can't reiterate that enough, how important it is to put your best foot forward with the resume.
Yeah, the other thing I wanted to say, Tim, about being job ready is any recently separated veterans that you all may encounter, if they're going to do their disability compensation claim, I suggest they do them while they're on terminal leave, so that when they get hired for a job, they don't have to start taking time off to do the VA disability compensation exams. So that's another thing that I think is important for recently separated vets is to just knock out their disability compensation claims prior to getting a full-time job, because that's going to create a lot of, could create some chaos with new employers. Hey, I got to take a sick day already. I got to go to the VA. I got this going. And most employers understand that. But if you like, hey, listen, I just hired you and now you're taking all this time off to do these things,
Yeah, that's a good point. That and all those things, setting up, you're getting your primary care physician at the VA hospital. There's that. I don't want to misspeak, but there's something about like a dental appointment if you missed it before you got out. I don't want to misspeak on that regulation, but all of these things that are out there, you want to knock that out right away, and then that way you're not missing time at work, and you don't want to get let go because you're missing time to take care of yourself for the long-term future. So that's a great point, Jay.
Yeah, it's a collaborative effort. The DevOps and the leavers. There's so much interaction and kind of game planning that goes together with this, and it's a big partnership, but it's a necessary partnership because there's a lot of information that a lot of things that the DevOps work on besides employment services that they can give you information on. They're kind of one-stop shop case managers that can give you a boatload of information and kind of direction. And then where we come in is the employment services part. So it's definitely a collaborative effort.
Definitely.
Anyone else in the room that's on? Questions, concerns? Do you need any information besides what Tim and Sheldon had put out? They got their contact information and phone number. Does anybody else need any of that stuff from somebody else here? Well, I'm also type my stuff in just in case anybody needs it.
Part of your veteran A team, and you guys have questions with employment stuff, know that we're the ones to go to, and we'll do our best. We're all part of the same team. So.
I typed it too. Not good at typing this stuff. Return by accident. All right.
Right, Jay?
Yeah, because we have to sign off in 5 minutes. They want us to sign off in at 10 of. So I think we got 5 minutes left.
All right.
They're out there. The employers are out there hiring. They're out there.
Yeah, it's hit or miss. I mean, you have some employers that are, hiring more now. You have many employers that are hiring less or not at all. And then you have, just attrition, maybe you have an employer, there's employers that might not be expanding now, but maybe their IT person just left or their janitor just retired or whatever. So there's still, just because the economy is not in the best shape doesn't mean that there's not employers that still need people. So, it's good to have different people and different ways to look for these jobs and to keep your head on a swivel.
All right. Is there anything else out there that needs to be said? Because if not, I could stop the recording and then
I have a question for Ryan Barry. Are you there, Ryan?
Ryan, you still on the call?
Hi, is this John speaking?
Yes, Ryan. John's trying to speak to you. Yes.
I wanted,
Hey, John,
I
long
wanted,
time no talk.
Barry, this is John. I used to live at Homes of the Brave. I wanted to know, are you a DVOP?
Hey, John, yeah, I remember you. I heard listening in that you're up at Rocky Hill now. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. I
Okay,
just was wondering, are you a DVOP?
yes, I am, John. I'm still a DVOP, and I'm out of the Hartford office now. So technically, I'd be the one you'd want to be communicating with if you want to return to work, or if you're ready to return.
Oh, you out of the Hartford office? What are you, the Hartford Job Center?
That's right, John.
Oh, okay. Huh? Because I'm not too far from Hartford. I'm in, Rocky Hill's not too far. All right. Thank you.
Now,
Yeah, the
I know
Hartford
you've got
area
my
DVOP.
contact-
Oh, sorry.
I know you've got my contact information already, but I'm going to go ahead and put it in the chat. Are you able to see the chat area?
Yeah, for anyone in the Hartford area, the Hartford DevOps are Ryan Barry, who was just talking, and then also Ron Catania. I know, they work with a lot of people at Connecticut Veterans Affairs, Rocky Hill. So they're DevOps in case you know them, but you don't know what their job is.
Yeah, just interesting because I used to live in Bridgeport. He was the DVOP in Bridgeport area about a year ago.
Hey, John, I'm going to put my contact information in the chat area so you can reach out to me whenever you're ready to get back to work, okay?
Is everybody good? Any more questions, concerns? I saw Ryan's information. Great job. There it is. John, if you can see, it's right there.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for showing up, and appreciate you guys. And we're here for you. And all our information is out there in the chat. So
Yeah,
please
I
feel
saw Ryan Barry's information there.
Yep.
Excellent.
And I just want to end with saying that, working with Department of Labor, especially with the Jobs for Veterans State Grant Team, the DevOps and LVRs, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So, if you get a job, you work with us, and then you get laid off or you leave or whatever, it doesn't mean it's over. You come back. I mean, we're here for you the whole way through. So even if you're at a job and you're working, part-time or whatever, and you don't like it, you're looking for something more career-based, just keep in touch. Don't fall off the radar. We're here for you.
Okay, everyone, thank you for participating. This was a great event. It is 10:50 a.m. I am going to stop the recording and end the meeting. Everyone have a great day.
Thanks, guys. Stay
Take
safe.
care, guys.
Thank you.
Semper Fidelis.